2023 baseball season is going to see the introduction of a pitch clock. Pitchers have 15 seconds to throw a pitch, 20 seconds to throw a pitch if a runner's on base, and if they don't, it's a ball. Batters have to be in the batter's box by 8 seconds left on the clock, and if they're not, a strike is called. It's going to bring some controversy, but will it be worth it? Probably. The average baseball game duration in 2022 was 3 hours and 4 minutes, and that's too long. The pitch clock promises to bring that time way down, and in fact it already has. In spring training games, many games have been under 2 hours and 30 minutes. But how have players and coaches dealt with the implementation of the clock? We came to talk to a few Dodgers about that.
I don't know, I was more curious how it was going to play out, what it was going to look like. I probably didn't like the idea at first. Still don't know if I like it, but it's here, it's going to stay. So, all spring training has just been adapting to it, figuring out, the best way to utilize it in our favor.
As we've gone through spring training, it's been great. Obviously, there's been a few hiccups here or there, and just trying to understand some subtle mechanics of different situations. But I think all in all, I think everybody's been, pleased with how it's been implemented, and I think it's been a good thing, at least so far during spring training. I don't think it necessarily changed the way we coach the specific skill of pitching. But in conversations with our bench coach, obviously Dave Roberts, our infield, just different types of strategies. Simplest thing is like, how do we throw the ball back to the pitcher to make sure that he's got plenty of time, making sure that we're on top of giving signs. And so I think it was a collective effort to understand where we needed to, tighten up and be efficient with our movements. Just to allow the pitchers as much time in that window that they have.
Usually I'm trying to get it out there as fast as I can. Throw it back, call a pitch. That way they have time to shake once, twice, 3 times. You're down, 2-3 seconds left, and it's gets a little dicey. There might be a ball called, but it's just quick. So there's big situations. There's not as much time to think. You see it in the spring, but the spring at bats, you're not too worried about it, but once, the games start really counting towards the year, that'll be a little interesting. We'll see. There's sometimes, too, with the runners on, it's 20 seconds. Sometimes you have to wait 3 or 4 seconds. You don't want to get in the box too early. I try to usually get in around 10, 11, 12 seconds. Not any earlier than that, just because the pitcher holding it too long, then the hitter's uncomfortable. So, I try to take that out. So there is a couple of seconds of awkward, just kind of waiting for the clock to wind down a little bit.
I think what happens sometimes is there's so much just kind of dead space, and people didn't realize how much between the pitcher walking around and meandering around the mound, or maybe a hitter, or taking their time to get back from first. So I think when you strip away kind of that, some of that fat off the game, it made it for a much quicker pace of play. And to be honest, I think, again, most people have been overwhelmingly supportive of it. Once the season, once games count, and if something happens and that determines the game, obviously the feelings might change initially for that moment. But I think overall everybody's been, pretty open to it, and guys have been open about changing and making sure they're doing the things that they need to do.